Once upon a time, I was trying to do great work with families and kids, and I was sticking to the script and trying to do approach A, B, C, D, all the recommended normal approaches, and I noticed that everything I recommended made the situation worse. And for some reason, I had really fresh eyes at the moment. I hadn't been doing this work for a few years because I was doing some artwork, so I wasn't embedded in it, so I had the ability to see the truth. And I had this just incredible opportunity to watch what was really happening. So I was giving these families advice, thinking that I was like novel and brilliant, and they'd come in, and it was absolutely clear that the situation was getting worse because of what I recommended. And so what did I do? I did what any parent normally does, is I tried harder. You know, I came up with new things. I read more books, took more classes, and I continued to make the situation worse. So luckily, the frustration led me to trust my intuition. And I think because I was one of these kids, a difficult child, in a big way, you know, for some reason I had an edge that was an advantage. I was able to really feel my way through it, and then along with intuition, I was able to gather what I needed, which was a sense of how the energy flowed, a sense of how of what really happens when a parent talks to a child. And here's a parent who's trying as hard as they can to make a difference, to urge their child to make a good choice. You know, especially when things get bad, you try harder. So they were doing exactly the same thing I had been doing. So I became tremendously compassionate for them. And now that I saw the problem, which was the child felt they were more available when things were going wrong, and hardly available, barely available when things are going right. So when I'm not yelling, my parent maybe 1 out of 100 times says good job, which is, you know, that much energy. And when I am yelling, they come running and they sit with me and they hang with me and they get very alive and present, and they're willing to spend lots of juicy relationship chips. And I put 2 and 2 together. You know, even though they're urging me to make better choices, I put 2 together as, you know, when I freak out and act out, I get them involved in my life in a big way. And I want the involvement. I'm hungry for the connection with them and my teacher and other significant adults. So that's the genesis. So, you know, then it started flowing. Once I really had the alignment I needed and I understood the energy, then I started just switching things around where I was recommending that they get really alive and present when things are going right, and they refuse to do that when things are going wrong. And when things are going wrong, they had some alternative way of just resetting the child so they could just move through that to the next moment of sanity where they could go right back to applauding their child. That's it in a nutshell.